Most cats think they're better than us. But for these five, it might be true.
Unsinkable Sam. Everyone knows cats hate water, yet Unsinkable Sam served honorably during World War II. Sam's original name is unknown, but he was conscripted to serve on board the colossal battleship Bismarck. Following the ship sinking in May of 1941, only 115 of a crew of 2,100 survived, but in the middle of the waves, the HMS Cossack discovered a cat floating on a board, picked him up, and named their new mascot Oscar. In what could be seen as an early predecessor to Operation Pay Per Clip, Oscar became a valued member of the crew and served honorably on convoy escort missions until October 1941, when the ship was struck by a U-boat that killed 159 of the crew. But Oscar was not one of them. Surviving this gave the cat a new nickname, Unsinkable Sam, and he took up residence on the HMS Ark Royale, which coincidentally had been a part of sinking the Bismarck. But this didn't last long, as the ship was, surprise, torpedoed by a U-boat in November of 1941, eventually sinking. Sam was once again found clinging to a floating plank and described as angry, but quite unharmed. Thankfully for Sam, this was the end of his maritime days, serving in the offices of the Governor of Gibraltar before being sent to Belfast to serve out the remainder of the war in a home for sailors, and living quite a few years after that. Crimean Tom, the savior of Sevastopol. In the fall of 1855, during the Crimean War, French and British troops captured Sevastopol after an 11-month siege. Patrols were dispatched to find supplies. In the midst of the search, they noticed a grimy cat sitting between injured survivors. Despite being an 11-month siege and the chaos of the aftermath, the cat was remarkably chill and allowed himself to be picked up by Lieutenant Guerre of the 6th Dragoon Guards, who took him back to his quarters to live with the occupying army. Unsurprisingly, there was not a lot of food after an 11-month siege, and officers began to notice how fast Crimean Tom was getting. They assumed he had a good supply of mice, who must have a good supply of food, so they followed Tom to an area blocked off by rubble, behind which was an ample storeroom that staved off starvation for the occupying forces. He also led them to various other stashes throughout the city. He returned with Lieutenant Guerre after the war and spent the rest of his days in England. Fred, the undercover kitty. When people are being investigated, their top priority is sniffing out rats, so who better to trust than a cat? Fred was born in Brooklyn, New York in 2005 and adopted by Assistant District Attorney Carol Moran and nursed back to health after early life health complications from pneumonia. He and his brother George were named after the Weasley brothers from Harry Potter, possibly because of their mischievousness. But it was not a cushy life, because in 2006, Fred went undercover for the district attorney's office to help the NYPD apprehend a Brooklyn man suspected of acting as an unlicensed veterinarian. This sting was a success, as the perp was charged with unauthorized veterinary practice, criminal mischief, injuring animals, and pet e-larceny, thus living out the vengeful dreams of many a cat who has taken a trip to the vet. Fred received a number of honors, including the Mayor's Alliance Award, a Law Enforcement Appreciation Award, and was honored at an Adopt-a-thon benefit hosted by Mary Tyler Moore and Bernadette Peters. Following the spotlight, Fred retired to begin training as a therapy cat. Let's now pause for a moment for a cat break, and feel free to leave a like if you're enjoying this video. Stubbs, the Mayor of Talkeetna. In the shadow of Denali, the highest peak in the United States, there exists a small town called Talkeetna, and of those residents, none were worthy of being mayor. Enter Stubbs, a general store cat who got his name by not having a tail. Now sure, the town was unincorporated, so it didn't officially have a mayor, and the story of residents writing him in as a candidate is a doubtful tale. But nevertheless, Stubbs served as honorary mayor from 1997 to 2017, greeting shoppers and drinking catnip-infused water out of margarita glasses. He also ran an unsuccessful Senate campaign in 2014. However, Stubbs was not universally loved and barely survived an assassination attempt by a dog. But he was successfully saved, and the extra donated funds went to local animal charities. Since his passing, the legacy of Stubbs lives on, as the town has since elected more cats as mayor. Felicette, the first cat in space. Starting life as a humble Parisian street cat, Felicette soared to heights most people can only dream. She was chosen by the French space program to be one of 14 cats trained for spaceflight in 1963. After 2 months of training, which reportedly included high-G centrifuge, the cat dubbed C-341 was launched into space from a base in Algeria on October 18th and successfully completed a suborbital flight that lasted 13 minutes, including 5 minutes of weightlessness and reaching 7 Gs of acceleration. Proving they didn't put too much effort into the story, the media gave her the name Felix after Felix the Cat, but this was modified to Felicette, which became her official name. She became a bit of an icon for the French space program, getting commemorative stamps from a number of countries, and in 2019, after a successful Kickstarter campaign, a statue was unveiled in eastern France at the International Space University, with Felicette perched atop Earth, gazing up towards the skies she once traveled. Thanks for watching. Does your cat act as though they were destined for greatness? Tell me that in the comments below. And if there are any videos you think I should make, let me know those as well. But for now, take care, be well, and thanks again.